I warmly welcome every one of you for coming on board with me to watch this live session where we will be looking at the business intelligence tool which is called the Power BI. So I'm really glad that you are here with me. I'm really excited to see you join me in this live session. It's my pleasure to be with you, and I would be expounding and showing you the knowledge you need to know and the tools you need. So I'm super excited that you have participated in one of. I'm super excited. Hello everyone. I warmly welcome every one of you for taking time to visit my YouTube channel and also participating in this project which we are going to be building in few moments from now. I'm really glad to join you today, and I'm excited to be your instructor where I'll be taking you through this project, which is an e-learning platform. We will be building everything from scratch. The course materials and everything that you need is provided. If you check the description, everything has been provided. I'm glad to be your instructor, and I'll also encourage every one of you that as you've joined, take your time to jot down the important things which you'll be learning. I know that majority of you must have had prior knowledge of Power BI or maybe other data analysis tools, but this is basically focused on Power BI. No Excel, no SQL, just focus on Power BI. Right, so just focus on Power BI. And what you basically do in this live session is to take you through the fundamentals, I mean the basics of Power BI. I believe you already have a little knowledge of Power BI, but if not, just follow through this step-by-step process, this practical guide to put you through what you need to know to build this awesome project. In front of us here is what we are going to be building. All right, now it's currently evening. This is because I've not refreshed this dashboard. So if I happen to refresh this, we'll be getting good evening. I mean, this is an interactive dashboard which I designed personally. All right, I built this dashboard myself, and it's something that I know once you are done with this the live session, you should be confident enough to build this beautiful dashboard. I mean, each and every one of you would want to build something that um, is presentable, something that is appealing to the site, something that can contain the insights and the basic information you need from your data. Now, the data we are going to be working with from an e-learning platform where students come to sign up and get courses, something like Udemy or Coursera. And then where we have students, we have payment data set, we have students data set containing information about students, and then we also have instructor data set which comes in the form of CSV. So all these are going to be in the form of CSV. Now at the end of this, we'll be able to build something like this, and then where we can filter information from here, and then we'll be able to also build what is called pagination. It's going to be a step-by-step guide, as I said before. We will be going deeper into the data analytics of this data set. So stay with me, and I'm really glad once again to see you join me. Do have a wonderful session. Yeah, hello everyone. So this is what we'll be doing in this class. We would launch the Power BI. I believe you have Power BI installed in your PC. I'm using the Windows PC, and I have this version of Power BI installed in my system. If you have not installed Power BI, there's going to be a link in this lecture. Wherever you are watching from, there's going to be a link provided. So click on that link, and then you have this Power BI installed in your system. Also, follow the installation processes and make sure that the Power BI version is properly installed in your laptop. Now, the Power BI could be a kind of a heavy app. I mean, depending on the system specification that you are using. All right. So I recommend that you use a system that is about 4 gigabyte and above, or possibly if you could get 6 gig RAM, that would be better. I mean, for optimal productivity. So now we have our Power BI launched. click on blank report. Now the data set that we are going to be working with is going to come in form of a CSV file. Now we have the different data connectors in Power BI, the different ways where you can import data to your Power BI software. Now we have the one to import from Excel. You can as well as import from SQL Server, or you can paste data into blank table. All right, or you just click on get data from another source. That if you have data set from other sources apart from this. For the purpose of this project we are building, we want to be going into connecting SQL Server to our Power BI, all right? But this is a possibility. I mean, we can connect MySQL to Power BI, and so therefore, once we have a refresh in our database, I mean, from the SQL, it will automatically alter or make some changes with our Power BI data set, or even the dashboard which we are building. But for the purpose of this project, we are looking at creating a simple report. I mean, from the data loading to the data cleaning to transformation of data, and also for building reports. So this is basically what you are going to be looking at. So now what are we going to be doing? Since our file is coming in the form of CSV, click on text/CSV and we click on connect. Now it's asking us to find the location where we have this data set. So I would look for the data set and I'll find it here. So we have about 4 data sets which we are going to be working with. Now this project, as I said before, is on e-learning. I mean the e-learning industry. So we have the students, we have instructors, and then we have information about the different enrollments and also the different courses on the particular platform. So let's take, for example, that this is Udemy, the popular e-learning platform. So Udemy have instructors that come to this platform to upload their courses, and that is why we generated the instructors. But I'm not saying that the project that we're working with is on this thing. I mean, I'm not saying we are using the dataset from Udemy platform. So this is another typical e-learning platform that we are going to be looking at, so we could get insight from the company. Now, let's first and foremost import students. So click on students, and we should be having this dialog box, which is a students or CSV. So from here, we have all the data presented in different rows and columns. So based on the first 200 here, so just click on transformation of data. So we click on data transformation. And once we've clicked on transform data, we can then scan through our data set. Now, if I happen to click on here, I can see here I have distinct record, which is about 1000. Then I have unique. And we talked about primary keys and foreign keys, and we will also be able to differentiate between what is called the primary keys and foreign keys. And if you are given a data set or a table, how can you identify a primary key? Now in our case, the column we are going to be using from this students table is for its primary key is the student ID column. The reason being that in Power BI, whenever you see a distinct value equals to the unique value, I mean the two numbers are the same, that column is best used as the primary key to identify the unique record for this particular table. Now this is a student ID, and each of the students have their ID. I mean, no two students would have the same ID on this e-learning platform. So we have the first name of these persons, we have the last name, the email address, date of enrollment, and then we have the payment method. Now, right, so this is an e-learning platform where students will have to make purchase of a particular course. It could be in the UI UX industry, be it the digital marketing, product design, or whichever categories. And these are their different payment methods, through PayPal, the credit card, right? So this is a typical example of what is called a categorical column. Now this is the date in which each of the students got enrolled, and these are their different email addresses. So for now, what we will do, since we have other data sets, now using this simple information, we cannot get the insight from this data set. I mean, there is literally nothing much we can do with this particular column. I mean, only this column. So this is just information about the student. So let's head over to import other data sets that we would need in this project. So we go to new source, all right? Then we click on text CSV, and we would like to import courses. Let's click on open. Once you open the sources, click on OK. Since you are still on this Power Query Editor, remember that Power Query Editor helps us in our data transformation. So we click on OK, and then we have this new table added to our Power Query Editor, and we can see the table name courses. The first name is students. Now once I click on here, just in case you may not see this, so go to views and you check this column profile or this column distribution. So if I happen to click on here, I have the distinct values to be 50, then I have unique value to be 50. That means the course ID is the primary key in this courses data set, right? Now we have course name, we have the categories of this course, we have the different pricing, right? Each of the courses have their fees. Now we have ratings for this course. We have about the number of hours for a particular course. For the Python for data science is about 84 hours. Okay, and then we have what is called the instructor ID. Now the instructor ID is a foreign key inside courses data set or table. Now we have so many courses here. I think there are about 50 of them. So each of the courses have their unique ID. That means the first ID here should be 1, and then the last ID should be 50. So using these courses, we can uniquely identify a particular course name and also check the category, and we can locate the price for that particular course and also check the particular instructor. Now in this case, we have the instructor ID, but we can't really tell the name of that instructor. So it therefore means that using these courses data set, a table, we cannot really get enough insights from here. So what do? We now go to our home tab. So we import another table, and that table is going to be our instructors. So once I click on open here, we now have what is called, at least we have what is called instructor ID. Now this is a primary key that uniquely identifies all the instructors in the instructors dataset. So I click on OK, and we successfully import the instructors dataset right here. Now once I click on here, I'll see 30. So this is a primary key. So it therefore means that if we are to join two tables, we can join the instructors here and then join it to the courses. All right. Do not forget our explanation of the primary keys and the foreign key, and what is also called the one-to-one relationship. Everything about cardinality in relational database management. All right. So now we have 3 data sets imported, left with 1. So we have to import the last one. The last one is going to be enrollment. Now this is information about courses enrollment, containing the student ID, the course ID, and also what is called the progress. All right, so let's quickly go through this enrollment. Now using the student ID, we can literally see here that we have distinct value to be 326 and unique values to be 53. So this is not a primary key in this, but it can serve as a foreign key in the student data set. Now we also have what is called the courses ID. Now if I click on here, this cannot serve as a primary key, but rather this can be a foreign key, and a foreign key we can link it up to courses where we have the courses.id, where the course ID in the courses table is a primary key. Now we also have what is called the progress. Now this progress column talks about the progress of each of the students in in the e-learning platform. Okay, so we are going to be working on that, but for now what we will do is that we are going to be joining all these tables together. So watch out for the next lecture videos where we would start joining each of these tables and creating relationships. All right, you are welcome to this part of the class, and this is going to be one of the most interesting data transformation process you would come across, in data cleaning and your data analysis. Now this is a student table. So in the previous lecture, if you were struggling to figure out how to bring out your distribution, now this is how to go about it. This is your distribution. Distribution talks about if there are error, if there are empty values in your cells, if there are null values. Okay, this is not a number values. Now, I said before that primary keys cannot be null. You can't have null values in this particular one, and we've verified that here in this column statistics. So to pop out your column statistics, click on the column and then go to the views tab and click on this column distribution and also this column profile. So this is what is called column profiling. So from here, you can check the minimum value, which is about 1, and then we have the maximum value here, which is about 1000. So using this column profiling or column profile, you can get a summary or statistics of our column here. So I said before, if you can't bring this out, go to your views tab, then click on a particular column, just click on the column profile and you'd see that. Now, the next thing we'd want to do is for us to carry out some data type conversion. This payment method, actually, this is a text value, so you can leave it here as text. The first name is text. You can see this ABC. Then also for the last name here, this is a text, and the email also is a text. Now for the student ID, we would have to change this since we are not carrying out data summation. We are not carrying out any form of arithmetic. We are not adding value. So it is always advisable to change this from integer to, from whole numbers here to text. So once you do that, click on replace current, right? And we can see that values sent to the left side of this column. So let's click on these courses and we will do the same thing for the course ID. So we'll change this to text. All right. Click on replace current. And then for a fee here, we will change this to fixed decimal number, replace current. And then for this other data type, I think where we have the instructor ID. So for the instructor ID, we are not carrying out any form of addition or subtraction or multiplication. This is just an ID to carry out data modeling. Merging different columns together. So change this to text. We don't want it to be numbers. So replace current. For the hours, so these are whole numbers. And so we can leave it as whole numbers for the number of hours, just in case we want to find the average, the number of hours for a particular category of course. So it's not going to be an issue. And okay, for the ratings, we can leave it as number or whole numbers, or this can be decimal numbers. All right, so let's leave the rating as decimal numbers. Then another data type we should work on in the instructors data set is the instructor ID. So let's change this to text, replace current, first name, last name, email address. Then for the enrollment, we can change this student ID. We change this to text, replace current. Then for course ID, let's change it to text, replace current. And then for this progress, we leave it as whole numbers. Okay. Now, once you've done all this, in the next class, we will be looking at the merging of our two cells. Merging of the different tables together. And we are going to be doing that using the merge query. So Power BI has this merge query tool, which allows us to merge queries with another query in this particular file, these tables here. So, but before that, let's first and foremost save our file. Remember that we have not saved our file. So we can click on Ctrl S, or we just go to File, and then we click on Save As. Since this is going to be the first time we are saving our file in this Power BI, so I'll give it a name. I'll name it as First Dashboard Project. So you can give it any name of your choice, and then I'll click on Save. So there are pending changes in your queries that haven't been applied. You want to apply them. So just click on Apply. Our data set. So First Dashboard Project. So this is the file we've saved. So in the next video, what we will do is that we will then find the primary keys and then find the foreign keys and join these data sets together to form a single data set. And that is the data set we are going to be using to build our dashboard. So let's quickly talk on this particular topic, and which is on column profiling and then column quality. I decided to chip in this topic because by default, once you are launching your Power BI, the Power Query Editor, you may not really be seeing what you are seeing on my screen. This is because I enabled this tool or this option in my Power Query. And I'll quickly explain what this column profiling and column quality are in Power BI. So these are essential features which we use in during data preparation. Note that what we are currently doing now is data preparation and data cleaning phase. Now they help us understand and assess the quality of our data in each of the columns. So by default, you may not be seeing these things. This is how your data would look like once you import it. Now, for you to assess the quality of this data in each of your columns, you have to make sure you tick this column profile, and we also have the column quality here, and also this column distribution. Now, these lectures will explain what column profile is, and thereafter we see what is column quality. So what is column profiling? Now, column profiling refers to the process of analyzing each column of data in a dataset to understand its characteristics and also its distribution. And we can enable the column profiling by checking this box. Right. So now once we check this profile, you can see that there's an option, a pop-up here, which we can also drag up to display every information here, and it contains the distribution of values in the selected column. For example, this column which we have selected here. So at this point, it helps you to detect any potential issues with your data, providing visual tools for column profiling, and also helping us to check statistics of our data. For example, in this case, we can see that we have the maximum value here to be about 999. Now, this is column profiling based on the top 100 rows. So you can click on this so we can see the profiling based on the entire data set. So for the entire data set, we have 2,000 distinct records and 2,000 unique, records. So it therefore means that the unique value of the student ID we have in this data set is about 2,000, right? So we can also see the total count here, which is 2,000. So we are saying that the column profiling tells us the visual distribution, the value distribution in that particular column. So if we move to the next column, we can see here, this is a distribution, the value distribution in this column. Click on here for this column. So each of the columns have their different distribution. Now let's get to another column such as the courses. Let's click on the course ID. In Power BI, it shows us the quality of our data and present in a selected column. So it is accessible in Power Query Editor. So presently we are in the Power Query Editor where a summary of the column's quality is displayed. For example, here we have, if you go to this view and then we check this column quality. So this is a column quality. So this data is valid and is showing us 100%. Is there any error? We are having here to be 0%, so there is no error. What about empty cells? It's telling us that there are no empty records, so 0%. So it shows us how valid our values are. And the valid values shows the percentage of values in the column that matches the expected data type. So here we have valid to be 100%, 100%, 100%. So therefore means that we can start working with this data set. Creating reports, creating visuals, building our dashboard. So we also have the error values, which also shows in percentage. And in each of these columns, for example, if you have data type mismatch, you're going to be having some error here. Just in this case, we may have something like a text, but along the line, we have something like a number. So we'll be having some error here. All right. So also for empty values, so it shows the percentage of blank or null values in a column. So if there are null values, you actually see that here, and you can also see it in not a number value, even in the column statistics. So this feature helps in quickly identifying how much of a column's data is usable, or if there are errors or missing data that need to be addressed. So column profiling is very necessary. As we said before, that it is very necessary in the data preparation and also the data cleaning phase of our data analysis. All right, so thank you so much. I hope you understand what the column profiling and also column quality is in Power Query or in data analysis. Right, so what we basically do in this class is to talk on conditional columns. Now, there are different ways to create column in Power Query. And then basically, one of the ways of creating column is by going to add column, and then we click on just maybe custom column. All right. Now, once you go to add column, we have the different types or different ways to, include a column or add a column to our table. So we can just duplicate a column, and this we do by just clicking duplicate column. And so it duplicates a selected column. Now, once I do that, by the right hand side, we have what is called applied steps in Power Query. So any action you take, the action is displayed here as applied steps. So what we just did now was to create a duplicate of this student ID column, and that is why we can see duplicated column here. Now, to get back to our initial step, we just have to click on this close here, tapping on here, and that is removed. Okay, now so let's use the conditional column. Now what we are looking at doing is to create another column in the enrollment table, and what we are looking at achieving here is to create a column that says if a student have this progress of 0, let's say not started. That student has not really started that course. If the student have between 1% and 99%, that is still course progress, in progress. And if a student have about 100, that means completed. The student has completed that particular course. So how do we do this? We use what is called a conditional column. So we can actually untick this column distribution, or maybe the column profile as well, just to give space for our work. So I'll go to add column and then conditional column. Now this conditional column dialog box, it says add a conditional column. So we can just say call this is going to be the name of that column. So progress status. So that's the name we are giving to it. Then the column name we are looking at is if the column name, which is if the course progress, if this column here, which is progress, equals to 0, then we give it not started. All right, not started. Now we add another clause. If this thing is equal to 100, now we say completed, right? Then otherwise, it therefore means that if these two conditions are not satisfied, else we say in progress. So what this therefore means is that any course that is showing the value of 0 in this progress column, we say this student has not started. If it's showing 100 completed, otherwise from that between 1 otherwise to 99, right? Because we can actually exceed 100. All right, so from 0 to 99 it shows course in progress. So we just click on OK, and another column is added for us here called the progress status, right? So I'd love to rename this to follow our naming convention. So progress status. So we have here completed 100 here, 20 is in progress, 100 completed, 0, we have 0% here, not started yet. So this is how we can create conditional columns. Okay, so now we are almost getting there, and this particular class is basically, this is not a Power BI intensive class. I mean, this is just a project focused class, so I may not really be going into details to explain all the tools we have in Power BI. So what we are going to be doing here now is to create relationships. I mean, to identify what are the primary keys, and then what are the foreign keys. Now this particular column we have here, the student ID, which is contained in the enrollment table. This is a foreign key, and this foreign key is in the student table. That is why if you go to student, we have the student ID, and this student ID is a primary key in the student table, but it is a foreign key in the enrollment table. The same thing with the course ID. The course ID is a foreign key here, but is a primary key in the courses table. All right, so this particular table is what you are going to be using to link the other tables. So we could create a particular table that have these one-to-many relationships. All right, now this is basically what you would do. So we go to home, and then we click on merge query, and then we click on merge query. We are not creating there are different ways to merge queries. You can actually click on merge queries as new. So once you click on merge queries as new, it's going to create a totally new new table for us. Okay, so I think basically this is what you would do. Let's click on merge queries as new. So once we do that, you are going to give a new table to it. So which of the tables are you merging from? So we want the students here to be on the right hand side, and then we want the enrollment to be at the left hand side. So this is the arrangement, and then we click on the column which we want to merge, which is a student, and then the student ID here. So this student ID is a primary key in the student table, then the student ID is a foreign key in the enrollment table, and we want to merge these two tables using the student ID column here, and we leave this as left outer. So I believe this must have been covered in maybe SQL, or even maybe you took Power BI course. We have the different ways of joining queries. As I said before, I won't be going into details what is left outer and what outer right outer joins are. So let's just click on OK, and it's created a new dataset for us. So this is going to be the main dataset we'll be using to work, right? So that when we are trying to filter our dataset. All right, so before I even get there, let's just finish up here. So I'll rename this to data project. So this is our main table. So we have the student, first name, last name, email address, date of enrollment, payment method, and then we have this column called the enrollment. So we have to expand this. So I'll click on expand, and it's asking us, do you want to use original column name as prefix? No, we wouldn't want that. And it's asking us to select the columns you'd want to retain when we expand this table. Now what we will do here is we would, since we already have student ID in this newly created table, there is no point keeping student ID anymore. So just untick this. Then do you want to keep course ID? Of course, yes. What of course progress, and then the status, that is here. So we just click on OK to expand this for us. So right now we have the course ID, we have the progress, and then we have the progress status. Okay, now having gotten this, we can also join this particular table we created here with another column, the instructors column. So, or even the courses. So since we have course ID here, and then we have course ID in the courses table, so we can join the new data sets we just created, the new table, together with the courses to give us the courses that each of the students took. All right. So let's quickly do that. Now, what you basically do is that while this is selected, you just go to merge queries, and instead of clicking on merge queries as new, you just merge queries here. And then we have the first one selected for us is the data project, and then the second is asking us to pick from here, and I'll be picking the courses. So we have the courses ID here, we have the courses ID. So make sure you select the columns which you are going to be merging, right? So now just click on OK. So I would want to move this table to here. We would want to have the enrollment towards the ending. I don't know if you get. So that we first of all check the course, and then we check the progress of their course. So you can actually move this by taking it to you can put it here, all right? You can actually put it here. Now it's asking us to expand. Remember that we already have course ID, so there's no point keeping course ID here again. So we just untick course ID. We would want to see the course name, the course category, the course fee, the rating, the hours, and also the instructor's ID. All right, so let's click OK. And then we have all this information presented for us. Now, having seen this, remember we also have what is called the instructors table. So right here, we can as well as merge the instructors table to check which of the instructors is for this particular, maybe for a particular course. For example, we have a course name called the UI UX design principle. So using this information with the instructor ID, we can merge with these instructors to know the instructors that is taking this particular course, the UI UX design principles. All right, so for us to do that, while this is selected, we can go to merge queries and merge queries here. and then we click on instructors, and then since we have instructors ID, click here, and then click on OK. Now the instructors ID, we want it to display at the end of this dataset, this table. So we expand this, and we don't necessarily need the instructor ID here. So untick. Then for the first name, remember that we already have what is called the first name and last name and even email address in the students table. So I'll just leave it this way, and then I click on OK. So we see what we'll be getting as output. So when I click on OK here, you notice we now have something like a prefix called the first name .1, last name .1, email .1. So it created for us a new column, expanded the column, but since we have here, it's now a duplicate. So it attached this 1 at the end. So here, since this is instructor information, we can rename this to instructor first name, instructor first name, right? So we rename here to instructor last name, and then lastly, we rename this to instructor email, So this is the email address for instructors. Now, having done that, please take note, this is the very important aspect of data transformation and data modeling. So this is the data modeling process. Now, we are still in the Power Query editor. Later on, we'll be loading this thing to our front end. So the Power Query editor is the back end. This is where we carry out the whole data loading, cleaning, transformation. These things happen at the back end, which is the Power Query editor. Now, once we are done with this, we are going to save it and then exit from here and move to the front end, so we can start with the dashboard visualization and even checking if the relationships we created really matches. So here, the last thing that is remaining for us to do, here is we have the rating hours, and then we would want to move, since we have instructor ID here, and instructor ID is information about instructor. So it may not really be proper to keep it here when we have course progress. So this is about the course. So we can move this to place it between first name and then, here. So to move a column, just click and drag, and then let's place it here. Right. So after the progress status, we have instructor ID, and then information about the instructor is placed at the end of the table. Now we have course ID before the course name. That is fine. Then we have student ID before the student's first name and last name, email. That is totally fine. So we've been able to, find these relationships and build it and merge our tables to create for us this data project. And this is a table that we'll specifically be using to model our data set and start building our dashboard. So I really hope that you've benefited from here, and I hope to see you in the next class. Now that we are almost done with our project, the basics of our project, because what is actually left for us now is the building of dashboard. So we are actually partially done with this Power Query editor, that is the back end. It's just that as a data analyst, while you are building dashboard, you may start creating let's say measures, key performance indicators, or writing functions, or even creating new columns. So it means that you can actually still come back to what I'm trying to say now is that you can always come back to this Power Query, your transformation tables, to either change data types or even add more columns here, or just do one or two things. For example, the conditional columns. So when I'm saying we are almost done with the Power Query editor, I'm basically saying that you are not totally done with it, okay? Because obviously, with time you may be coming back to it. So what I'll do now is I'll save this project and then load it up to our Power BI dashboard. I mean the front end where we start designing. So let's quickly go to home, and then at home click on close and apply. So you would get this message. I mean, your data set has been loaded to here, and we can see all the data here, the tables, and then even the meshed query we got here. So if you go here to this model view, you can actually see the model view of our data set. Now, the newly created column, we can see that here. We can see the newly created column, the newly created table, which is this data project. So using these data projects, it's almost have, from here we can even see the relationships between the data project and every other column mean table in our data set or in our project. All right, so what I'll basically do now, if we click on this, we can see that once you click on this or hover your mouse around this, you can see that the two columns we linked here are the course ID, and then we have a course ID here. All right, now if you click on this, we have here instructor ID to instructor ID. Now, once you do that to here, course ID to course ID. So a student ID column here join with this enrollment on course ID column. So the same thing applies to here, student ID join the student ID here, right here, okay? Now, if you double click on this line, I mean any of those lines, you will see many to one relationships. So these are the different cardinalities. We call these cardinalities. So many to one relationships. Now let's close this. So let's now click on this. Let's double click on this. Here we see many to one relationships. So let's double click on this. Many to one relationships. Let's click on cancel. And then let's double click on this. We can see here many to one relationships, right? So we'll click on cancel. What I'll basically do here is that I would delete this relationship so that we can manually link the relationships together. Remember that we've joined our foreign keys. We've seen the common columns that were similar or unique to each of them using the foreign the primary keys. That's what we did in the previous class. Now we'll be creating our relationships. I mean, where the data project should have relationships with all these other data tables here. So that's basically what you do now. So what you do just now is to delete a particular relationship. So you can just click on this line, right click and click on delete. So click on yes. So we do the same for this, right click, click on delete. Please take note, what I mean here is that we want to build relationships so that each of these columns, I mean this particular table will be linked to all the other tables. Also I click on yes, I double click, delete, and so I delete. Now there is something that we call something, I think star relationships, whereby we have this in the middle and then we have as a star 1, 2, 3, 4, where this will now be at the middle. So that is what we want to do now. So for the instructor ID, we have instructor ID. We'll be looking at the column here that is common here and also common here, which is instructor. So you click on instructor here, we'll double click, and then you drag it to here, instructor. And then it's telling us we have many to one relationships here. So we just click on save. We have a relationship is created for the instructor. So the same thing we do here. Which of them is common? This is courses, and also I think we have courses here. We have courses ID. All right, so we can just double click here, and then let's drag this. Okay. So let's click here, double click here. Let's drag it to courses. So one-to-many relationships. So we have a relationship between here and here. So the same thing is applied here. We have enrollment. So just double click on here. I think we also have student ID. So, but yeah, we have student ID here. So let's just click on student ID, double click on here. Then let's find student ID here and place it here. So once many relationships. So let's click on OK. And then we have this guy remaining here. Yeah, so this is basically what I just did now, just to avoid complications. So just double tap on student ID. Student ID here, and then link it up here. So we now have one-to-many relationships. So now we've built our model. We can just save it. Just press Ctrl S to save your work. Ctrl S to save your work, and then go to report view. So this is going to be a report view. Now I'll be stopping the video here. We've done our relationship building. We've linked our tables together. So the next one will be specifically for building of our dashboard. Now, I know you are not from, design, may not have design background, may not understand how to place shapes, working with colors, borderline, font sizes, the different font styles, background color. Now, this is going to be a bit technical, from the design view, but that's not going to be a problem. I want you to pay close attention and watch this video the same way I am applying these steps. Make sure you do that so you don't miss out. You have to be keen to details. If I right click, you have to right click as well. If I move, you have to click and move. At any point you may get lost, just pause the video and get back to where you got lost, and then start building this project together. I really want you to perfect your design skills. I really want you to perfect your data analysis skills and even the dashboard design skills. So I'm really glad that you've taken these steps to this point, and I hope to see you in the next class. All right, so just a quick one. This is going to be like a brush up for those who have not really used Power BI before. And then this is the interface of Power BI. We have these tabs: the Home, Insert tab, Modeling, View, Optimize. The Insert tab allows us to insert different elements, different AI visuals, and other forms of visuals. So we can choose to insert like a button in our canvas. We call this the report canvas. So we can select a field from any of the data here and then drag it here. And we also have what is called the page navigation. Now we have page 1. You can click on this plus sign, just as we have in different Microsoft products such as Excel, where we can create different sheets. So this is adding different pages, and each of these pages can have different visuals. At the right hand side, we have what is called the filters. So we can filter on this page. You can apply filter, and that filter cuts across all the different pages. And I basically want you to pay close attention to Power BI, especially this data visualization aspect of it. Now we also have what is called the visuals just before or after the filter here, if you're moving from left to right. Now these are different visuals. We have the bar chart, we have column charts, we have clustered bar charts, we have cards, we have these donut charts, and even scattered plot. The different types of charts are available here, and you can pick from any of these visuals to create your report on the canvas. All right, so these are some of the few things I would want you to know, and so before we can get started. Now, before we get started, I'll just pick a few things from our data. For example, let's just say we want to plot a simple bar chart. And so you click on the bar chart and we have the bar chart here. I want to show you this before I start doing the designs. Now, in the simple bar chart, you may want to look at the categories of courses and then distribute it. So you just click on here and it comes to this y-axis. You can actually click, drag, and then drop it at the y-axis. And then we may want to know the number of students in each of these categories. All right, so category is already at the y-hand side, I mean the y-axis. And we can check student ID. Now, this student ID is actually, so you can click and drop this to be at the x-axis. So here we have the count of student ID, right? So if you move this a bit, you can actually see the total number of students. So once you click on here, we can see we have about 1,626 students that are inside the categories of data science. That means data science category have the highest number of students, followed by the cloud computing, followed by web development. I think the lowest category here with the number of students is game development. About 120 students have web development. I mean, enrolled in the game development category. All right, so this is a simple visualization of our data. Now, I'll basically do a few things to customize our visual. Now, looking closely to this, we can see that this filters on this visual only. Now, we can actually add fields to filter on this particular page, and we can add, filter on other pages. So I'll basically copy this. So let me quickly duplicate this page. So I will now have the duplicate of page 1, right? Yeah, so I would like to explain a few things on this filter on this page and what filters on these all other pages. So what we just did was that we've duplicated this page, all right? So we have this duplicate of this page and also we have this. So what I'll quickly do is I'll press Ctrl C and Ctrl V. So I have this. I have this. I don't know if you notice anything. Once I click on this, our dashboard is actually dynamic because change in one is going to affect change in other values here. But that's not what I'll be explaining now. So now, once you click on this, we have filters on this visual, right? So anything that you are clicking on here, changing here, is going to affect only this particular visual. For example, if I come to this category and I select only blockchain, it's affecting only the visual which I have selected, or cloud computing or cybersecurity. So right here, I can actually adjust the items of the categories I would want to display here. So that is what my filters on only this category, right? So having seen that, I would want to work on filters on this page. Now, so I'll click on the category drop here. And then I'll click on student ID and drop here. So on this page, if I make any adjustments, for example, select blockchain artificial intelligence. So as you can see, it's not only affecting this one visual, it's also affecting filtering on this page. So every visual on this page will be filtered, right? So then, but if you go to this other page, we see that nothing is affected here. We still have the duplicate of this visual we had here, the initial one we had here. So having seen the first and the second, now let's look at filters on all pages, how that works. So right here, I'll click on category and drop here. I'll click on the student ID. I'll click on student ID. So we put it here. Now let's closely look at what happens to this, even when we are on this page. So while we are filter on all pages, let's collapse this and go to filters on all other pages. So I click here. All right, so now if I happen to come here and then filters on all page, I select data science, this and this, right? While I go to this, we now have data science, digital marketing. So we now have these filters on all other pages, all right? So this basically, but now if I come to here and then everything is selected here. So these are the three ones. So this three which I selected here is affecting all the other pages involved, right? So I hope that is clear. Yeah, so let's quickly clear all this out. That was just an illustration to show you what we mean by filtering by a single page, filtering by visual, and also filtering by all other pages. So let's delete all these other pages. And so having seen this, we also have ways of inserting elements. If you go to insert and go to shapes, you can insert any shape of your choice. Right, so this is square. All right, this is square. And then we have the different styles. You can change from here to another color. We have different colors from here. And then we have what is called the borders. We have other styles. We have the different shapes, rectangles, or do you want to corner the top and the left, and then the percentage or in pixel? How many pixels do you want to round this? Okay, so let me quickly delete this. So you can also insert what is called image by going to your repository and then picking any image of your choice. I can bring in an image right here. Okay. Now we have websites where we'll be downloading some icons. We call them icons. So just in case you want to include or insert icons to your project, I'll be including a link where you can access some certain icons in your projects. So let's cancel this and let's delete our visuals. Now we have different type of visuals in our data. We have for the donut here. So let's clear all this out. So you can also include a button. Then we can include navigation from one page to another. And then we can also include these back buttons. I mean, that is basically what you're going to be doing in the next video. So this is just a quick rundown on some of the features or tools that we have available in Power BI. So the dashboard design is going to be a very long one. And just in case you may see some forwarding of the videos, I want you to be calm and pause the video and rewatch it. I wouldn't want to spend all the time designing and designing and designing. It's going to be a very lengthy one. In fact, I would have to divide it into different parts. So thank you, and I hope to see you in the next class. All right, now this is where I will do the whole magic. So I have to first rename this page. You can actually rename this page. So this is going to be my summary, right? These are summary page or summary dashboard. Now this could be our, we can say sales or finance, or let's just say student dashboard. The reports about our students, in the company, in that company or the e-learning platform. So I'll first design this canvas. This is called the canvas, as I said before in the previous class. I would like to change the background of this canvas to something this color. But first and foremost, reduce the transparency to 0 so we could see the color we are working with. I would keep adjusting this color to my test. I think I actually like this color for now. Maybe we'll change it later. So for the settings, I'll change this to middle. I want it to centralize here. And so the type, I want it to be 16 by 9. and we also have the different format here. I think I prefer the 16 by 9 actually. So we are done right now with our canvas. So the next thing is I want to do is to insert a shape. So we have the different shapes here. So I'll first put in a shape here, and then you can press down the control with your scroll button on your mouse to adjust the size of this, to zoom in or zoom out. So we have this. I would like to put this. This is where I would include our navigation menu. Now, having placed this, I also want to include something like curved or rounded corners on this shape. So once I click on that, I would have to, there's what is called a border. I wouldn't want border in that shape, so I click off the border. And then the color of this, I will really have to change the color for this shape to something, yeah, something of this color. Right, something of this color. I'll keep on adjusting the color of this. I think this is going to be cool with me. This is a color code. I think I will likely keep the color code just in case you have any color code, this hexadecimal color code. You can, place that here. For those that are into web development, they will really understand what this hex color is. So these are what is called a color code for the red 52, 78, 125. Just in case this is your first time hearing this, do not be scared. All right. Now, I think we still get back to the background. I would like to change the canvas color from this color to something better, something better, something better. Okay, let's keep working on this color. All right, so I think this color is fine. I mean, it's okay. So as I said before, we would adjust the shape of this. This is going to be rounded, both tops. So right now we have rounded both tops. So I would have to flip this shape by going here, mean rotation. I rotate it by 90 degrees. So I rotate by 90 degrees. So I have this shape here. Now the next thing which we would like to do is to include another shape by going to shape, and then we pick a shape here, and then I'll increase the shape a little and increase in size. I would want the color of that shape to be, going to style, we'll change it to white color. And then for the borders, please do not use borders. And then I think also for the shape, I would like to make all sides rounded, so rounded rectangle. And so this is how the rectangle would look like. We can also adjust the pixel. All right, so I think that is all. And I would basically want to copy this. We can do Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V, can copy that shape just in case you want to duplicate it and place your elements. So I'll do something this way. I'll duplicate it, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and then I'll bring this shape down here and maybe take it up a little. Can push this up a little more, and then we drag it here. And do Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and we can place this element. So let's move these elements a little bit. Take it up a little bit, and as well as move this. In fact, let's move this to here. let's take this there, and then let's take this up a little, move this up, and then reduce it to here. And I would like to place this object here, and then drag it to here. Then I'll copy, and then I'll drag this also to somewhere here. Yeah, we can leave it to leave it here. So yeah, we're almost there. I think our dashboard is getting shapes. Now, the next thing I would like to do is, this is a summary page summarizing our data set. So we want to filter the category. So let's click on this chart. I mean, the bar chart. And so we pick a category. So this is going to be the category. And remember our student ID. All right, so the student ID should be in the x-axis. So we have something like this. So this filters the number of students in each of the categories. Now, having seen this, we can further customize or format this visual. And how do we format this visual? There are different ways to format these visuals, and I'll quickly be running down. So here we have what is called format your visual. Click on this. On the y-axis, which is the categories, we have the title. I'd like to switch off that title. And then on the x-axis, I'd want to switch off this title too. And then we have the different count. So the x-axis represents the number of students. Remember, we have the total of 2,000 students. Now, and these are the different representation of the number of students in each of the categories. So what is left for us right here is the count of each student. Now, there's something we also call here the data labels. Now, if you switch on these data labels, you have the exact number of students in each of the categories on each of the bar here, labeled on the bar. And then we can actually check the position of it. We can put it at the inside end. All right. Now let's just leave there for now. And then we look at the title. I mean, the title of this filter. So we go to general, and then we click on title. And here we have Control A. And then let's say filter by category. Or we can even put here number of students in each category, and then we centralize this. All right, we can centralize this. And also we have this what is called this bar. We can change the color of the bar to this, right? So this makes sense. Now we also have this what is called the filter. Yeah, so there is also this visual we call the that should be slicer. Now this is a slicer, and we want to slice based on the date of enrollment for these students. Now once you click on this date of enrollment, we have the different dates hierarchy. Do you want to filter by year? You want to filter by quarter, or you want to filter by month or day? So I will just tick this date of enrollment, and we have something like this. So we can actually place this thing here. I mean, or let's just quickly move this element up a little so we can expand this. We can expand, let's expand this, and then these elements, we can push this shape up a little, move this up a little, take this up a little. I mean, up a little here. This can go up, and we can push this up, and we can also expand this shape here. So this is going to be our filter. I mean, you can use this guy here to sieve by date. I mean, filter by the date of enrollment for each of the students. So let's just say this is the date, 1st of January 2024 till 29th of September 2024. Now you can choose, let's say we want to just know the number of students that were enrolled in each of these categories from 1st of January 2024 till instead of September, let's just say till 1st of June. So this is the information. Number has reduced from 1,600 plus to about 887 in the data science category. So we can return back to the initial date to see the actual values of these numbers here. All right, so this corresponds to our data, and data does not lie. Now, on the dates of enrollment, I mean, this filter, let's customize or format this visual. The slicer header we have here, enrollment date. So we change this to enrollment date. So enrollment date, and then let's put it on bold. All right. I can actually do this at the title. Let's switch on the title, and we just call it enrollment. All right, so while you are at the title, I mean the general tab here, switch on the title, and then let's give it a name, enrollment date. Now, we have the different fonts here. I mean font style, we have the font size. I would like to centralize the enrollment date. Just take a look. We have two different enrollment dates. The first one is the default one that came by the category, I mean our column header name, which was on at the visual as a visual here. So I would like to switch off that header, I mean the slicer header, so we can go by the default, I mean the customized general, the ones we just did now. So now this is the enrollment date. We also have the slider settings. I think the color is actually fine. We don't have any need to change that. Then for the values, you can increase the size of this to 12. I think we can increase that to 12. And then I think this is actually cool. Then for effects, we want to turn off the background. The same thing goes to here. If you move this, you see that it has the white background. So we just turn off the background for this, turn off that background. We don't want a background. It is not necessary. And so we have enrollment dates here, and then we have the number of students in each of the categories. So the next thing we would want to look at is the total number of students. I mean, we want to display it as a card. All right, so let's go to style here. Let's go here and then click on what is called card. So you click on card. Now we want to show the total number of students in this card. So you just go to student ID, click on student ID, and we have first student ID 1. So by default, what this thing is doing is giving us is showing us only the first ID, which is 1. 1 is actually the first student ID, but we don't want that. We want to find the count. Now, if you click on count, you'll be getting 6,091. Now, this is not the unique count. I mean, it's not the distinct count of each of the students, because a student must have enrolled for about 2 courses or even 3 courses. So we only want to display the distinct count. So we click on distinct count. So this is showing us that we have about 2,000 distinct number of students. So per head of the students that are enrolled for the courses on the website, there are about 2,000 of them. So we proceed to customize this by going to this visuals. Then the color here can change to this color. Then for the font, change the font style to something this, and this totally good. Then once we click on this, that date of enrollment, we can actually date of enrollment, just come here. So that was count of students. That was the ID of students we selected. So, all right. So this is 2000, and so we've gotten 2000. So what we just do here, we go to general, then we come to title, we turn on this title, and we give it total students. Then centralize this, increase the font size a little, we put it on bold, and then the font style, we'll be using this font style. Let's make it bolder, total students. And then for the color, we make it a little bit lighter. Yeah, I think this is fine. Then when you go to visual category label, we turn off the category label. And then I think we are good to go. So this is it. We have about 2000. We also want to reduce the font size of the call out value. This is too much. It's showing us for something. So we can bring it down to 35. I think 35 is quite fair enough. Or let's keep on bringing this down. Let's take this down to 30. Yeah, so 30 is quite okay. And then let's make it bolder. Yeah, so this is cool. Now, there is one thing I want to talk about here, which is on inserting images to your project. Now, one of the websites which I personally use is the Icon 8. And once you visit this website, for example, we want to add students. So let's say student icons. This is the website which I use, the flaticon.com. This contains images. So I click on this. I think I really love this picture. And so I just download a PNG. And then we have it downloaded to our system. So open your Power BI again, go to Insert, go to Image, and then find this and bring it here. So we have this big image. Reduce the size of this image, and we can just put it by the side of this, or you can even choose to put it on top, depending on where you want to place it. But I think I don't really like that image. We have other images on this website. So we can use this one, download this, free download, Power BI, image, click on this, open, reduce the size, just bring it here. Okay, let's put it down here. I think that's totally fine. It really makes sense if we change the title here to pure black. I think this will make more sense. So, and the next thing we'd want to do, may want to display the total number of courses on this e-learning platform. Is part of the summary of this data. Now, I would bring in a card as well, and then we check what is called a course ID. So we put in the course ID, and it's telling us the first course ID is 1. Yes, we are aware of that, but we don't want the course ID. So first we want to get the count of the distinct. So we now have the course ID to be mean total number of courses is about 50, right? So in order for us to start, customizing or formatting this field from this beginning, all we have to do now is just to click on this, and then we go to home, we go to format penta, we just click on this, and it takes the format of the previous one. Now remember that this still has a background, so come here and then go to general effects, turn off the background. So once you've done that, you can still go to format penta and then place it here so the background of this one goes off, right? So right now we can bring this here, and we want to add a title to this. Go to general, go to title is on, so we give it a title, and we call that title total courses. So the total number of courses on the platform is about 50. Now you can customize this number and just place it around here, and we can find an image online just as we did for the students. We just come here and then we put course, and we have different icons for course. All right, so I will pick this. No, there is one. I'll pick that. I think this is cool. We can download this, and then so right now we have this image. So come to insert this image, and for online course, I bring it down here, push it up a little, and we have something cool. We have these things cool. Always ensure that as much as possible you align your images or your content to center. So this is total number of courses, and then we have total number of students. I think the best arrangement could be this should be up. Should have this up, and then this should go up as well, while we push this down a little bit. This can get smaller, and this as well can get smaller than this. You just centralize this guy. So I can bring down this, and then I can push down this so we have space here, and I click this. Holding your shift, can click this and move it down a little. Okay, and we have this shape, insert shape. Want to insert a line, and so we have this line here. You bring this line to here as a divider to divide these two guys. So let's move this guy here, and we would want to change the style, I mean the border color. Let's switch off the fill. For the border, we change it to light gray. Yeah, I think that's totally cool. So now we've divided these two guys here. So we've seen the total number of students and then the total courses. So if I click on this data science, we can actually see the total number of students here. Okay, for data science, for cloud computing, for this guy, we can see them here. For web development, right? For digital marketing, for cybersecurity, mobile development. Right, so that is it. So here we can click on digital marketing, and here is about 532. And here we can also see that the number of students in that digital marketing is 532. And then there are about 5 courses in the digital marketing category. So we keep on selecting cybersecurity, 5 courses, UI UX, 3 courses, about 348 students. Now, the next summary we would want to get is a summary of instructors' information. And we may want to display the count, the number of instructors, teaching on this e-learning platform. So we go again to click on card. So we have this card here, and then we check the instructor ID. It's telling us first instructor ID, and that's not what we want. We want to see the count of the distinct number of instructors, and there are about 24 instructors. So I click on this, click on home, click on format painter. I tap on this, and then we have this guy here formatted. And then we go to here, we go to general. For the title, we just type here instructors. So we have instructor, this guy here. Basically, we can place it right here and then find an icon for an instructor. Let's say instruct. So search for instructor. I think this icon is cool. We just download this PNG, free download. Go back to your Power BI and insert image, instructor. We bring it down here, and you can pull this guy here. So control with your arrow, your mouse scroll bar, you use that to zoom in or zoom out. So we have these instructors. So number of instructors about 24. So in data science, we have about 10 instructors teaching courses in data science. We have this. So in game development, we have only 1 instructor in the game development. Okay, so the same line separator we did here, we'll have to Control C and Control V to have a duplicate. We bring it down here, and then under shapes, we can rotate this. I'd like to rotate this to 90. So we have it in 90 degrees. So I can then pull this way, drag it up, put it here, bring it down, and then drag it down here. So we can place another element here. So this is the number of instructors. Now up next, we may want to see the number of categories of courses, though it's actually displayed here, but just in case we want to know the number of categories of courses we have, okay, we can tend to display it here as well. Or if there are other summary of information we really need, we can place it here. All right, so the next thing that we can do right now is we can check the total fee of all the courses on the platform. So let's quickly click on card, and then we click on summation of these fees. And so automatically it has added for us the sum of the fees, and we can click on this to see that. So is either we use sum, or we find the average, or we find the minimum. But right now we want to check the summation of all the fees. So this is showing us in error. So for us to quickly adjust this, we can just go to our table view, and then go to data projects, and we have the fee here. We can see everything is in error. So this is not what we want. We want to change it to English United States, which is in dollars. So right now it has been updated to dollars, and we can get back here, and we see that this has been changed to dollars. So right here, click here, then click on format painter, and then tap on here and we have about 1.86 million. Wow, this is crazy. About 1.86 million in total sales. So click here, go to general, go to title, and just type sales. So we have this amount in sales. You can put that here, or whichever position you would like to place that. You can, you can still place it here. total sales. Oh, which position would be best? I think we can just put it here. All right. And put it here. Then we didn't find any currency this thing. So the whole video may not really have all the time to place it. So get an image and just place it here. You know how to go about this, inserting an image. Now, so that means in the data science category, this is the total sales we got, about 442,000.39 thousand dollars. For cloud computing, so if you may ask, which of the categories gave us the highest number of sales? I mean, and that should be in the data science. So just in case the company would want to focus more on them, reinvesting funds to human resource, they should train more instructors or even source for more instructors in the data science industry. And this will, in one way or the other, help the company to increase their turnover. So which other thing can we find here? Now we've gotten here. So we may really want to check the total number of hours. And how do we do that? So click on your card and then hours, click on hours, and then summation of all the, we can actually do the sum, or we can even check the average hours that is spent in all. So an average hour spent in all the categories. What's the average hour each of these students spent in the whole category? So I think this is quite fair enough. I mean, so let's format this and then go to type 2, average course hour, average course hour. So or average hour spent on a course, whichever one, average hour. So average hour spent on a particular course. Right, so this can be here. Average hour. Then we put place our icon. Yeah, this can actually fit in here. I think it's even best we make some adjustments here. We can actually push this a little further and push this inside a little. Can move this here. Can move this here. Move this guy here. We can move this guy here. Move this guy here. Okay. You can even send this guy up. Right? Can send this guy up. Send this guy up. Up the bar. We move this guy to this place. Right? And then we move this guy down. Can move this guy down. So we have cells. We have average hour. And this shape here, we just delete it. We pick this, Control C, Control V. This is not what we want. We want this, Control C, Control V. We bring this guy around here. Come in. Okay. So you can get the icons and just place them here. So this is the average hour spent by each student, means spent by the students in taking the course, and then this is the total number of cells. So in this category, this is the average hour. In this category, this is the average hour. So this can be the summary of our data. Now this video is getting longer, so we'll be stopping here. This is going to be the part. Let's just call it the part 1 of our dashboard design. We'll be coming to the part 2 of it. So I really hope you learned something here. I'll see you in the next class. All right. Let's quickly get into more of Power BI reports. I believe the lectures has been interesting so far, and I'm really glad that you've um, come to this extent. I know it's not really been easy to put your heads together, dragging and dropping, putting colors, changing font sizes, colors, and pasting formats, a whole lot of things that has been going on before now. I mean, the last video was actually very long, and the last video was actually very long, and I'm really glad that you're able to pull through. So this part of the class is going to be a very brief one, straight to the point, and it's not going to be far from what we've discussed before. We are going to be adding few things to what we've said. And why I'm doing this is that I really want you to understand the concept of Power BI. I want you to know how to play around these tools, the different features that comes with the Power BI. I mean, Power BI is a very large, is a powerful software that once you know how to handle it, you would come up with something um, so beautiful. I mean, something different from what everyone is doing there in the industry. Yeah, I love designs, and I love good designs, not just all designs. I love good designs. And I believe working with any industry, the industry you're working in, we would like to see that creativity part of you coming up. I mean, you should come out with something new, something beautiful, something more interactive. And that is basically the basics of what you are going to be doing. Now, if you understand what we'll be covering in this um, class, I is going to put you on a pedestal to, get yourself, play around some other tools, even fetching your data set and building dashboard all from scratch. All right, so let's quickly get started. Now, while building reports, you would always be coming across these pages. What I mean by pages is navigation. Now, this is a summary of, let's just say, this is a summary of everything that happens in this company. I mean, that happened in the company, such as just a look at this. We can tell the number of categories we have. I mean, each of the courses from data science to game development, and we can even filter the enrollment date. Okay, to see the number of instructors that signed up or that listed a course on their platform, and then the total sales generated, and the average hour, total average hour, then the total number of students, as well as the total course or total courses. Now, having looked at this, we would be creating a different report, and this report is basically for students. I mean, it's a design for students. So what you would do, I would duplicate this. So let's quickly duplicate this. I'll close this student here. I'll have to delete this because we don't want to start designing the page from scratch. So we can have a duplicate here, and then we just rename this to students. So these are statistics or the reports for students. The only few things we may have to do here is by adjusting or removing some visuals, which we may not really need here, right? Adjusting this. For example, you will likely remove all these total courses, total students and average hours and blah, 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 blah. So what you may want to do here is that we may want to get to know the total number of enrollment. Take note that the number of enrollment is different from the number of students, right? So this is because a student can enroll in about 5 courses, right? So that is for a single student. But when we talk about the number of enrollment, the number of enrollment now is 5, not 5 students, but 1 student to 5 different enrollments. Now we may want to check how many students got enrolled in the company. So let's make adjustment to our total students. Instead of total students, just click on there and then go to format your visuals, go to the title and just rename this to total. Just clean it and enrolled, right? Then for the Visuals, this is the count, that's the unique count of the students. But we'll be changing from the unique count as the distinct count to the total count, which is about 6,091 enrollments. Okay, now let's create a visualization for this. So we go to visualization and then we pick this line chart. All right, so we have a line chart here, and then we have this date hierarchy. That's for the number of the date of enrollment. And since from our data set, all the students got enrolled in the year 2024, that's from the 1st of January 2024 to about September 29, 2024. So we can just pick here for the month. So the month will come up to this x-axis. For the y-axis, we want to pick the number of students. That we can use student ID. So by default, it's moved us to legend. So just drag this legend from here to the y-axis, and then we have this graph. So we can adjust our graph, okay? And then go to format, we go to general effects, we turn off the background, and we can also remove the y-axis, we turn off the title here, and then also for the x-axis, let's turn off the title. So these are the different ones from the month of January to the month of September. If you take your mouse here, you can see the count of student ID. So there are about 629 enrollment in the month of August, and we can find that here. Now, if I happen to click on June, so we have here about 716 students enrolled. You notice that once I click on this, we will not be having any changes in our summary dashboard. Basically, I'm not going to be covering that in this class, but we are going to be looking at that, what is called drilling. So we drill a filter from a particular page such that when we filter on a page, we can drill that through and across several other pages. So for the student report, in the month of January, we had about 652 enrollments. Okay, now let's further make some other adjustments to our data. All right, so we may want to take off these cells. We don't really want to see cells here. We want to place a visual here, such as a column chart, and what we'll be doing here is to represent the course progress. Clicking on the course progress, so we can see students that started, students that didn't really start, and how many students have completed. Now, so let's click on student ID again, and we'll be looking at the count of it. So let's move this to the y-axis, and on the y-axis, we are looking at the whole count. We are not just looking at the unique or the distinct counts. We are looking at the total count of people, and to check how many of them are still in progress, because a student can actually buy a course, up to 5 courses, and has only started one. In that case, we want to include all the enrollments for that particular student to know which of the courses he has completed. And we may not really need the total courses here anymore. We don't really need that because we have it already in the summary. And we may likely want to move this up a little bit. Let's push this up. Let's push this up again. And then we can push all this up. And then we can bring this down. Then at the general and then at effect, turn off the background and make some adjustments. Go to visuals. For the x-axis, turn off this title. Then for the y-axis, you can turn off this title. Okay, let me uncheck this. And then for the title of this bar chart, we can come over here, go to visuals, go to title, then we rename this to course progress. Student course progress. We centralize, we bold. We can as well as use another font style called the Sergio UI bold. And then we may also want to get, for example, data labels. We want to switch on the data labels such that the data labels will be just above the cap here, we can see. And then once you open this, we can further customize the values of that data labels. Can make it bold, all right? And also, there is something we can also do. The position here is showing auto. We can put it inside the end, but let's just leave it automatic, I mean outside here. Please do ensure you save your work by pressing the Ctrl S. And we may want to delete this average hour. Okay, and we may want to remove this. So I think our chart is taking shape and we have the course progress. We don't really need these instructors. So what does this graph tell us? Now, how many students are still in course progress? We have it to be about 4,989 students. Okay, then if we check on students that have not yet started, we can see them here 571, and we can see this one to be 531 students. Okay, now if you want to check in the month of June, we can see that the number of students that are still in progress, that have not finished their course, you can see the highlighted section. The highlighted section is about 596. So the highlighted section are the number of students that are still in progress. Now, for the students that have not started, in the month of June, we had about 69 students that have not started the course yet. And then if we check the students that have completed the course, they were about 51. So comparing all this, we get to see that in the month of June, we had 51 students who completed their course. I mean, they completed the course and then there was a certificate of completion issued to them. Same thing applied to the month of July. Okay. Then let's shift this demarcator and place it down here. And then we move this up a little. And move this up a little. So let's push this up a little. I mean, you can place different elements here. This is just to represent and show you how to build your dashboard. Now, the next thing we are going to be doing in the next class is by adding what is called navigation menu, such a way that once you click on a navigation menu, you will be taken to a different page. So that therefore means that we'll be having a button here called the summary, and then we have another button called the student. Now you can decide to create your own. This can be like an assignment to you. You create another page for your report, and that report will be specifically for instructors. That means you can have the summary and then report for students and even report for sales. I mean, the transactions on the website, and maybe another report for the instructors of the platform. So this is where I'm going to be stopping. As I said before, in the next class, we will look at creating paginations in our Power BI dashboard report. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you in our next class. Hello, everyone. I warmly welcome you back to our class. And this is going to be almost like a wrap-up of the whole lectures. And I want to assure you that over time, I'll personally be updating these classes. I mean, if there are new features we would want to add to our dashboard, I'll make a video and then, keep updating you guys. So in the last class, we'll be able to design the student's report, and this is a student report. And I was also able to create, to take off this element called the instructors. Yeah, I was able to remove that here. And I would like you guys to also remove the instructors report. Now, What we will do here is just going to be, as we said before, we'll be adding our pagination. But before we add pagination to our dashboard, I would want to do a few things. And one of them is by moving this number of enrolled students down here. And once I move it down there, we'll create another, get another insight from the data where we'll be using this visual called a donut chart. We'll be inserting a donut chart, and where we'll be representing the number of students that use, credit or MasterCard or PayPal to purchase a course on this e-learning platform. So let me quickly move this here. I showed you guys how to move element. Just click and drag the element out from the initial position to the new position. And if you are moving an icon, just click the same way you move this. So click and move the icon. So we now have the number of enrolled people here. And the next thing we can do here is by adding this donut chart. So just click on donut chart here and you have this element. Then click on payment method. Remember that payment method, we have the credit or debit card, MasterCard, then PayPal. So these are the three payment methods used by the students to purchase a course on this platform. And then let's quickly click on the student ID. And then we move the student ID from here. We move the student ID right from here, we move it to the values. And Power BI automatically gives us the count of the student ID, not the distinct count. Remember that the total count is about 6,091. That's the total number of enrollment, but the total number of students is 2,000. All right. So let's quickly leave this as it is, and then we begin to format our chart. Now, the first thing I would have to do is by clicking on Format Painter, and then I'll tap on this, all right, to remove that background. We've actually removed the background. And then I'll go to Format Your Visuals, then add the legend. This is the legend. The legend is this payment method we can see here. Then I want to place it at the bottom center, and that is what we've done here. And also I want to take off this payment mode title, and I can switch it off here. So we have this. And next, I would like to remove the title. So I'll go to General, go to Title. Is either I click this and remove everything, or I just turn off the title. So I'll quickly Control A, highlight it, and then remove the title from there. Or if I turn it off, it's almost the same thing. All right, now we are getting there. So I'll reduce the size of this because this is where I would like to place this. Now, these are the different labels. Our data, we call it the detail labels. Now, once we open here, if we turn it off, we won't be able to see the statistics here. So let's quickly turn this on, but we would further customize that. We don't like the way this is pointing to us. We don't like it. So let's quickly do something about that. And we will be adjusting the position of those data detail labels. And we can do that by here. From outside, we prefer, or we put it inside. And we don't necessarily need the total count of these people, because right here we know about 1,970 something persons paid using the credit card. I mean, out of the 6,000 enrollment, about 2,000. So from this analysis and this insight, we can get that the greater or the greatest number of students, the highest number of students here use PayPal to purchase a course on the platform. But we want to represent it only in percentage. So percentage of the total, and we can have the percentage of the total represented here. Now we have our donut chart. So we can further click here and reduce this. We can pull down a little and then take this up. You can totally remove this separator which we added here. It's actually optional. So let's bring this down a bit. Right? And then Okay, I think we are done with this. So we have this about 33.94% paid using PayPal, then using MasterCard about 33.69, and then for credit card about 32.38% of the whole students, I mean the total students paid using credit card. And now you can further check it by month. So in the month of June, um 4% of the total. So the month of June, the total students that got enrolled were about 716. Out of this 716, we can see that people who use PayPal were about 4.04%, and the highest payment method here was MasterCard. So in the month of June, um, the MasterCard students who use MasterCard to make purchase on the platform were the highest. And out of that, only about 51 students were able, I mean, out of the 716, only about 51 students were able to complete, um, their course. And then about 69 have not even started. All right. And then we have about 596 out of these 716 who are still currently in progress. Now, let's just assume that we have about, let's say, 5 students who bought up to 5 courses. So we can distribute all these students. Even a single student can be distributed in all these categories. In progress, it could be that a student completed it but wasn't or has not even started a particular course, because if we sum up all these values, I mean 590, 69, and this, okay, we may really have the value to be larger than 760. So there are different ways you can go about, storytelling. These are another skills, telling stories from your, from your dashboard. It's not just enough to design a beautiful dashboard, but being able to communicate insight from this is another skill entirely. So, this was a quick one, and I'll basically be stopping here so that in the next video, we will dedicate it to building paginations for our dashboard. So thank you so much, and I'm really glad you have reached this part of the class, and I'll see you next time. So let's get straight up to adding pagination to our dashboard. Now we have some elements here at the Insert tab. I mean, once you click on the Insert tab, it's something that we've looked at before when we were creating our elements, I mean, adding these shapes to this dashboard. Now, as you can see, I'm using the scroll button on my mouse, holding the shift so I can adjust and zoom in and zoom out this dashboard. So to add this pagination, I mean, pagination talks about, swapping from one of these pages to the other just by pressing a button that would soon be adding to this dashboard. So what we basically do is we will go to, so we click on buttons, and then we click on a blank button. Now click on black button and we'll have something like this, right? So on clicking the black button, you would have this button which is almost colorless, but it has almost like a gray border. So for now, I mean, for the sake of this lecture, I won't be adding multiple buttons. You will only include the summary and the students button. You can add instructor or any other type of button you want to do. Is your dashboard, is your design. So every person may not have similar features on it. So I click on that and I'll go to style and I'll switch on the text. And in this text, I'll write summary. By default, the color of the summary is a bit darker, so you may not really see what is there. So I'll increase the font size and then I'll make it bold and I'll change this color to white. All right, I'll change it to white. And there's something I'm going to be explaining later Then for the border, I'll make sure I turn off this border. All right. So you will just see this button this way, right? I think this is actually fine. So this is summary. Now there's another method I'll show you. Instead of us to use this text, I mean, we can go for buttons, I mean, like icons, such as, okay, maybe basically I'll be doing the both. So let's first of all use the text button. Thereafter, we use an icon button, right? So this is summary. While the summary is clicked, we want to go to shape and which other thing. Okay, this is currently active. So we add another one. In this case, we'll be adding a button and then inserting an icon to it. So go to buttons again, go to blank button, and we have this button. This time around, we go to the styles, and the styles, we click on fill, and in that fill, we switch it on. Then at the browse here, we click on browse. This is where we locate an icon. So I found an icon which I'll use. So this is a white icon. There's a link which I'll include. We call the icons 8. So just include an icon, download an icon from that website. I'll click open, and in the image fit, I'll click on fit. So I can then adjust this to our size. So this size should be fine. But advice, whenever you are designing your dashboard, you should stick to either an icon or maybe a text button. All right. So I wanted to use the icon button to put you through. So I'll go to style again. Then in the border, I'll make sure that I've switched off the border, and we have something like this. Now, still on that style, we have this fill. Make sure you move the transparency. So this is where you would work on the transparency. So now we want to, for the color here, want to fill the same color, so it will take the image, the color of this our background. So the color of our background is, we can click on more colors. If you can't find that, you can click on more colors, or let's just find the color of this our background. I don't know if it's that color. Can't remember. Do we have that color here? All right, so just in case we can't find the color, this is the best thing for you to do. So you will just click on that element. Click on this, click on that, and then go to more colors. So this is the active color. So we copy this exact code, copy it. Then let's click back our element, go to style, and then under the fill, we click here, click on more colors, then we paste this thing here. All right. I hope that is clear. Now, once we paste, we now have this image. If you go to style again, we go to that fill, and if you adjust the transparency, once I reduce all the transparency to 0%, we will have this color, the full color of our icon. Now, we would want this color to show its full color when the button is active. When you hover this mouse to here and click on it, is only when you get this color. But so long as the summary button is active, we are on this summary page. Every other button should be light, dim in color. So, and in this point, we are currently in the summary page. So we would have to change this. We're going to fill, and then we increase the transparency. Let's work on the transparency. We can leave it at 50. So this point is telling us that the summary button here is is active. And now what happens when we click on this? So we have to include an action button, so that once we click on the summary to take us to this, if we click on the student here, the student button to take us to this tab. So make sure you click on this, and then we go to action, turn on the action button here. Then what type are you adding? We want to type to page navigation. Now on page navigation, where is the destination you are going to? We want to go to student, right? Now what happens here? If I click on here by holding down the control, it says hold control plus click. So I hold the control on my keyboard, control click. It takes us straight to the student dashboard. And how do we know we are on the student dashboard? We cannot really see the icons we designed here. This is because we are on the next page and we didn't duplicate this summary page to the student page. So what we will just do is to click here. We want to copy these two elements. So we click here, hold shift, click here again, control C, and then we'll go to this student here to paste. So once we paste here, now we are the student, page. The summary is still showing us this light, but we want to now lighten this color and then dim this. I don't know if you get the point. So how do we do that? Since we're on the student dashboard, student page, you would click on the element, these elements we want to dim. So we go to style again. And so for this style, this is basically what you would do. So since we didn't use fill, we didn't use fill when we are working with that summary, you can change the font color to something dimmer, all right? You can change it to something dimmer, all right, this way, or whichever color that best suits you, something dimmer. Then since we use fill in the icon here, we now go here, and for the transparency, we reduce the whole transparency. So it's telling us that this is active. But now if we click on here and go to actions, we have page navigation, all right? Now we have to now go to summary, go to action and turn it on, such that once we click on that summary, it will take us to summary page. Okay, so now see, look at what happens. I'll hold down my control, press here, we go to the summary page, and now this is showing us active. And then if I hold my control and press here, it takes us to the student page. So let's get back to summary page. And then the next thing I'll be adding is what is called the hover effect. This happens when we take your mouse to a particular menu. What should happen to it? Now that is called hover effect. Once your mouse moves over an icon or a page navigation menu, you should do something to it. In this case, we want to lighten the color that, okay, something has happened, or a cursor, a mouse has been pointed to it. So I'll click on this and I'll go to style, and then I'll change this to on hover. What should happen to it when it's on hover? So we go to fill. So when it's on hover, we now increase this. We reduce the whole transparency. So I don't know if you see what happened. Now we are in the summary page, but if you take your mouse to here, we now have that light color. All right, hope that is clear. We now have this color. So hold control and press here. It takes us to this page. Now we will still do the same thing to here. So that means on hover on this particular page, what happens to the summary button when we hover it on the student page? So I'll click the summary and then I'll go to style. And as I put it on hover, so when it is on hover, what should happen to it? On hover, we should change this to white when it is on hover. So at this point, if I move my mouse close to here, we now have the color changed to, white, right? So now if I hold Control Shift, press it, we move here. If I take it here, Control, press, and then it takes us to this next page. So this is how to play around pagination in building dashboard.